Welcome to the FTN NBA podcast with your hosts, Adam Pfeifer, Joe Metz, and Zac Graham. Presented by the FTN Network. Bringing you the analysis you need on breaking news, betting markets, and your fantasy lineups.
What is going on, everybody? Tuesday, April 19th. This is the FTN NBA podcast. My name is Joe Metz. We are in the heat of the NBA postseason. At most series, or some series, I should say, 2 games in, at least all of them, 1 game in. And I'm sitting here and I have 2 people on camera spinning around in their office chairs, flipping me off behind their heads after the influence of Kyrie Irving was this weekend. Again, I am Joe Metz, joined as always by my co-hosts, Zach and Adam. And we are joined by everyone's favorite FTN NBA guest, Stefano Vaccarino. Steph, I'll pass it to you first. You've been super busy, so we're excited to get you on board for the podcast after the heartbreaking loss on Saturday. So I'll kick it to you, then we'll kick it to the other guys. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm not heartbroken. I mean, just things happen. It was an unfortunate loss. I kind of viewed it as a positive in the grand scheme of things where, the Nets can play that poorly and come back from 15 down and only lose by a last-second layup from, that probably should have never happened anyway. For some reason it happened, but we're not going to talk about that yet. But, again, the couple missed calls, maybe the possession before where I guess you're allowed to just maul Kevin Durant every single possession and can't call anymore. But it is what it is. I mean, tough loss. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'll put it that way. I wasn't happy though. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, that's fair. Zach, I'll pass it to you. Then we'll pass it to Adam. How are you doing? How was your weekend? And how are you enjoying the NBA playoffs?
Well, I'm doing great because it is the NBA playoffs. Whenever it's playoff season, Spurs or not, man, I'm jacked up for it. So it was really, jokes aside, that Celtics Nets game was awesome. And as far as my weekend went, Austin FC, just 3 goals in the last 10 minutes for a comeback victory on the road over DC United. 3-2, our first road win in 350 days and only our second winning streak in club history. But we are in second place in the Western Conference. So things are great in my world.
Adam?
Cavs lost the playing game, so.
Oh, we know.
No, but that game. Well, we're gonna talk about it, but that game was so fun. It wasn't a secret which series was gonna be the most compelling and most fun to watch. And it just sucks that it was said like a million times during the broadcast, but it just sucks that this is a first round series. Like one of these teams is gonna go home in the first round. Can we lead with it? Can we lead with the game and Kyrie?
Can I ask a question first, though?
Yes.
You guys, just because I want to make myself feel better before we dive into this. Did we talk about how horrific of a collapse the Cavs had this season? Did you guys talk about that yet on a podcast?
No, I saw you tweeting about it. They were like a couple. What are they like? Right below the 1 seed, and then
1 game out of first with 26 games left, and didn't make the playoff.
They were 4 games from the 8 though at the time, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't fit my narrative right now. So
I will say this as the resident Cavs fan, I still to this day thought Zach was out of his mind thinking Cleveland had a chance to come out of the East. Zach actually believed that. I thought he was crazy.
He also said LaMelo Ball is an MVP candidate, so I think that sums up Zach.
Don't.
That was the Hot Take podcast.
Yeah, shut up, Joe.
Damn it.
The way Joe worded that was like Zach said that the other day. Like LaMelo should be an MVP candidate this year. Like
maybe that's what I heard. Who knows?
But no,
I like to twist the narrative.
Cleveland will make a run. It'll be fun next year when they actually are healthy.
Can I just say one comment on I know everyone loves JB. He's a good coach. He's done great for Cleveland. Got to play Kevin Love a little more in those games, in my opinion.
They were terrified of him switching on to Trae Young. They were legitimately terrified.
Sure, but I don't know.
The thing is, Trae Young didn't get his regardless.
I didn't really love seeing Rondo out there.
Differently.
Yeah, but
Miami's
also not Cleveland.
And Miami also has like the best switching defense in basketball. It's like, oh, Bam's on Trae Young. It's like, all right, we'll take our chances. PJ Tucker, we'll take our chances. Kyle
Kevin
Lowry
Love had the crucial stop in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
He
game.
sure did.
An amazing basketball player, one of the better basketball players in the NBA to this day, right now.
It's also 6 years ago, but sure. let's stop talking about my team.
Yeah.
Let's stop burying the lead here,
ado,
Steph.
If you missed what happened in the NBA this weekend, you were clearly living under a rock. I was all about everything that happened. Kyrie Irving makes an infamous return to Boston. We know how every return to Boston he's had is gone. The constant booze, the heckling, you name it. But this time, Kyrie seemingly lost his cool. I think it's fair to say he lost his cool. Stefano, come on. He did.
I feel like it was calculated.
I mean, I don't calculate it in the way that, yes, I don't think if he were shooting 5 of 19, he wouldn't have done that. But this, I don't think Kyrie would have been that aggressive with the fans had he been shooting poorly and having a bad game. But Kyrie came out of the gate red hot. He was hearing it all game and then just started flipping fans off. And
well, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. Like, he was feeling it. So he was fair. That's what I was kind of reinforcing the fact that you said it was calculated. So I agree. I'm all about it. Like, I know Zach has very strong thoughts, so I'll get my brief 15-second elevator pitch out of the way. Bottom line, no matter what sport it is, if a fan is going to be cussing a player out, if they're going to talk shit for 48 minutes, be prepared to get clapped back on. That's all it is. Like, I think players have every right to clap back on fans as long as it doesn't escalate past like a fuck you or something like that. Like, that's cool with me. Like, it creates more entertainment. It kind of riles the fans up in a good way. It can motivate a player like a Kyrie. Like, are people actually? Sorry, Joe. I'm just shocked. Are you guys actually mad that Kyrie was clapping back at Celtics fans?
I loved it. No. You know what? I loved it.
But you should.
I loved it.
I mean, Twitter was obviously torn down the middle. Like, I just think these boomer basketball fans need to get the fuck out. But I know Zach has. Stefano, you and I were in lockstep all Saturday talking about this game. I felt like a Nets fan that game. It felt horrible. So, Zach.
That's crazy that you guys were in lockstep before the game even happened. That's crazy.
Or Sunday. Wow. Oops. Zach, you are shaking your head like a boomer basketball fan right now. So I'm going to pass it to you and let you, because I know as soon as you start talking, I know you and Stefano are going to go on like a 30-minute monologue. So you take it away.
By the way, you can't even hear this, but I'm physically sitting back in my chair because I know I don't have to speak for like 10 minutes.
I mean, I'll say this, I guess, just to start. None of my negativity towards Kyrie's performance yesterday has anything to do with his on-the-court performance. He was fucking phenomenal. That entire game, obviously, like I said, was just awesome to watch. My thing is, and I'm not mad at him clapping back at fans because Lord knows what was said. But
right.
I just have a little bit, I'm taking, and this feels like a very boomer take, so I understand what I'm saying here. I don't think it's a good look for the league. Like, this may be way off base. I think my reaction to not just Kyrie flipping off the fans multiple times and yelling "suck my dick" in the tunnel to somebody who yelled "you suck."
That can I just hop in that to the tunnel thing? I think was the biggest non-issue of any of all of his antics.
I agree, 100%. I agree, 100%.
I think it's setting a precedent that could be bad in the near future in these playoffs. That now it's okay. The fans are going to ratchet up the shit that they're saying, the stuff that they're doing.
Sure.
In response to this. First of all, since when is the NBA okay with that? Like, number one, the fact that they showed it on television, again, very boomer sentence I just said, but like, it's just surprising to me.
That they didn't pan away right away or something?
Well, or it's just like that we keep showing it, and then like, is there not a fine coming for that?
He's definitely
he's 100% getting fined.
He's definitely be collecting a fine.
Why did that not happen this morning? I don't doubt that.
I'm sure.
Well,
do you know how much money the league's probably counting to fine him right now? It's probably going to take a little bit. This would be a hefty.
I mean, there were 3 middle fingers. So are we doing it per gesture?
Yeah, I just don't agree that like, okay, like whatever was said to Kyrie yesterday, or even just in the past, built up, like nobody else acts like that. And not just at the NBA level. Like, people say shit to you all the time, dude. Small college basketball, I had a parent literally get physical with me. I didn't curse him out. I didn't, and like, again, I'm not saying that's how everybody should react. That's not how I wanted to react. But that's just not what you do. That's not how you carry yourself. I would be more on Kyrie's side with a lot of the things that he says. Certainly not the flat earth, not the anti-vax stuff. But if he wasn't such an insufferable cunt, dude, you don't have this thing called life figured out better than anybody else in that media room, on this podcast, in the world. You're just not some ultra enlightened cat compared to the other average intellectual. You went into the classroom at Duke for like 4 fucking months. I just don't get where this attitude sprung from, that he can just go up there and say, oh yeah, I look at people's eyes and most of the time they're not about it. Bro, you don't do that. Get the fuck out of here. You don't do that.
I mean, to be fair, to be fair, 99.
No. This is coming from a kid who, I don't care. Like, growing up till you're 14, whatever. This kid went to private school in high school. He went to private school in college, and he's a pampered fucking multimillionaire. I don't want to hear all this shit about. Quit telling me how you think it is, Kyrie, because I guarantee you it's not. It's not like, the world is not like how you think it is for the majority of people, not just in this country, but around the world. So just fucking take your foot off the gas for a second and stop telling everybody, just acting like you're just holier than thou. Like,
I don't think
holy
he's acting holier than thou yet, like in that game though. Like, I mean, I think everything he's done in the past and those actions, like, yeah, sure, like whatever.
The
like,
press conference was ridiculous.
Was it that bad? I don't understand.
I don't think it was bad. I think my point earlier, I think he'll get fined for the press conference too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, the press conference wasn't that bad. He was just
I didn't think so either.
He was just saying, if you're going to talk shit, I'm going to talk shit back, which I have no problem with. I mean, when he was like flipping the bird behind his like head, right? Like, if you look at the video, nobody was offended by that. Everyone was actually laughing at it, and they enjoyed it. Like, there wasn't like anything like negative about it. I'm actually watching it right now, and they keep like chirping at him, and he's just like, he's kind of like laughing and like doing that like little like dance, like the fake crying, whatever. But when he actually flipped everyone off, everyone starts cheering and starts laughing. So like before, like we like I don't understand how like that, his antics in the game were him kind of being like, I'm holier than thou. I think he's just like, the
antics in the game are completely separate from what he said and how he conducts himself in those interviews. Yesterday, he's just turning his nose up at literally everything, and it's insufferable. If he would pick and choose his spots to give some sort of a rant or a lesson from somebody who's on the court and not in the stands or not on press row, like, sure, but it's every fucking day with this guy now.
Besides, like, when does it happen? Like, I guess like similar to what happened yesterday. When, like, what other times does he like do this? Like, he kind of like picks and chooses against the Celtics. It seems to like only happen against the Celtics.
I don't know which game it was, but within the last 10 days of the season, there was a press conference with him and Kevin Durant sitting at the podium. I can't direct quote what was said, but I remember the same heavy eye roll and just like, dude, just fucking chill out for a second. I just don't like. I know this comes off just like so much like shut up and dribble, and that's not what I'm trying to get at.
But that's what it is.
But it's not. It's just fuck, man. He's talking about basketball, and he acts like he just understands everything revolving around the game as a player, as a fan, as a member of the media, and he doesn't. Just like he didn't understand that the world was round and that vaccines in general, 99.9% of the time, are. Again,
well,
he just doesn't understand.
That doesn't make sense to me because if he's talking about one thing, like he definitely knows basketball pretty well. Like I don't understand.
Right,
that
but not to the level where he is some sort of basketball savant where he can tell everybody else how it is. He's not even the best player in that game yesterday. Jason Tatum was the best player in that game yesterday. But
Jason Tatum was, and I love Kyrie.
Come on.
Jason Tatum was the
Kyrie
best.
was fantastic.
Defensively,
yes.
Tatum. I mean,
and look, we're talking about a game.
How Big Ten was like playing defense on KD yesterday. That's another story. But like,
all right, well, let's talk about the game then, because
I mean,
Zach's gonna pop a blood vessel.
Kyrie for a second, because what I don't understand is sticking it to just his rivalry with Boston, right? Like there's clearly something there.
Mm-hmm.
What did he do that was so bad yesterday? Like seriously, like on like just like looking at like laser focus, right? Like It's Kyrie versus the Celtics. It's game one of what's going to be a really heated and contested series. In my head, I think he's just motivating himself. Honestly, I think that like what this comes down to.
I just don't agree.
But like, what was so bad that happened? Like there was
you can't be on the basketball court on a national televised game flipping people off the entire game. You can't fucking do that. It's not the WWE. We're towing the line between NCAA and WWE already with the NBA. We cannot be flipping people off during the middle of the game because number one, like there's the NBA product. And then, like I said, there's basketball at every other level.
There's the NBA product. Let's like take the Sixers off television because like that's the NBA product.
Also true.
Look, I'm not going to disagree with you, but the antics outside of his basketball ability yesterday were not good. They were not.
I'm sure the Celtics fans' antics were not great either, and
but those are fans.
Historically have not been great either.
I agree. We've done the Celtics. We've done the Jazz thing.
Right. It's the Celtics.
There's a little something more to it than it's just Kyrie Irving too. And it's
but you also can't. But it's not like he doesn't fan those fucking Flames every time he goes there. Of
course he does, and I think he does it intentionally now. I think he's literally just trolling them, and I'm all for it.
Right, but there's a difference between trolling them by stepping on the logo and then just like flipping the bird once a quarter.
To his credit, him flipping the bird was behind his head, could not be picked up by the cameras on court. It was only the people behind him in the stands. So
he knew. Okay, the one thing he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew
was
that
hiding it for the children to make sure no one.
No, he knew every fan in the arena would have their phone
there. Kyrie had the self-awareness to know that no kids would be offended by him flipping the bird on national television. Now, if it wasn't for social media, and we want to bring up, so this is actually Twitter's fault for people, and the Celtic fans' fault for recording it and sharing it on social media for other people to see it.
Let's talk about the game.
Absolutely.
And the series. So the game obviously was fantastic.
Is Bruce Brown better than Jaylen Brown?
No, what are we doing? Like,
okay, all right, we're kicking him.
But no, like Steph mentioned, like I agree with Steph. Like obviously, like if I was a fan of Brooklyn, that would be you're not happy the way that game ended. But to be down 15 and to come back, to have Durant play about as bad as he possibly can, and to only lose on a last second field goal attempt, like. We know Boston is a better overall team, just top to bottom, but like if you have Durant and Kyrie Irving, clearly you're gonna have a shot every single game. But what really stood out to me in that series or that first game was Boston is just going to, even without Robert Williams, like they're just gonna the size mismatches for Brooklyn is not gonna be there for them. And I want to ask Steph this because I'm starting to wonder, man, At what point do they just start playing Claxton more than Drummond prior to foul trouble?
Yeah. Claxton's it's kind of good, right? Like, like really like getting better. I was not a huge really Claxton guy last year, but I was like, oh, he's good. Like he's more of like a fantasy guy, right? Like he was like putting up numbers. But he's way better than Andre Drummond. Those missed free throws at the end really hurt. And that's kind of the thing with Claxton where like it's tough to play either him or Drummond down the stretch, in my opinion, for like situations like that.
I'm surprised Aldridge didn't play at all. I thought they would put him in for like 7
because you think he'd be the big that they would put in.
Now, what's going to end up happening is Ben Simmons is going to come back and he's basically going to play the small ball 5. And
yeah, that's
there's the X factor too. Like that the series wasn't interesting enough. Like Ben Simmons might play in 3 games.
Now, I know I just said free throw issues with Nick Claxton.
Yeah.
So I can't, I'm not helping myself there. But I do think that if Ben Simmons does come back, I'm kind of switching lanes a little bit here. That Nets positionless, like death lineup is really good. It's kind of like scary good, in my opinion. And especially next year, if they keep Joe Harris and Seth Curry and they go like KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Joe Harris, that's a tough 5 to guard down the stretch. Joe Harris isn't a terrible defender. But anyway, back to like the game. I think they should absolutely play Nick Claxton. And they're starting to play Nick Claxton more than Andre Drummond. Just which Claxton hit those 2 free throws. Those were really, really.
Drummond's just been fouling everybody lately. Did you see it was a defensive rebound and he just like reached in already with 3 fouls. I think it was on Derek White. He just reached in for no reason, picked up his 4th foul. Like just
the thing with Drummond is I don't really care what he does in any series outside of the Sixers series, and that's what he's here for, in my opinion.
Sure.
I don't think it like matters too much. I will say like another like kind of positive aspect, and this isn't even me like trying to troll Al Horford, but like to the point where like the Nets lost by 1 and they came back by 15. Is Al Horford going to go 20 and 15 every single game? Now I understand it's like I guess a positive matchup for him, but like.
But it's Al Horford.
Yeah.
It's 35-year-old Al Horford. Yeah, no, I think if you're looking at this series as a whole and gauging it off of the game 1, I think there is more regression to the mean in a positive way for the Nets than there would be for the Celtics. And I think that should worry Boston quite a bit.
Yeah, like Durant.
This series is still a complete toss.
Yeah,
right.
I think, and this isn't. I'm not even trying to like come across as like a complaining, whining fan, even though I know I'm coming across as one. But I think KD needs to like, get a couple calls here and there. There were a couple of times where they were like, these were like off-ball, non-like shooting fouls, just him trying to get open, where they're just like, they're grabbing and holding him. And it's just like, I'm all for like keeping the game like flowing and like not calling everything. But you have to call it once in a while.
Well, especially in that game, they called everything the first half.
I know. And I'm not sure. And it might be a product of like Kyrie and KD being unlikable and the refs are using there's something to it, and I hope that's not the case because like that's not supposed to happen. But the Nets really don't get that many calls. Like, it's actually kind of funny. I've watched way too many Nets games, and like they don't get a ton of calls. It's kind of strange. It's interesting. And I'm not saying that's the reason why they lost that game. I think that will help Kevin Durant a little bit if they start calling those like off ball fouls when he's like trying to get open and they're just they were like there was a sequence. I think it was like with 6 minutes left in the game, like in the 4th quarter, where it was like Kyrie like went on that run, right? And then like essentially what happens is they let Kyrie take like a bunch of shots until he misses. He missed, and then it's like KD's turn to kind of like ISO or get open, right? And like he couldn't get free. They were just like holding him. And then like the second to last possession, right? The possession that KD took like that fadeaway 3 that missed and that led to like the Celtics game-winning shot. I think it was that possession. It was like a similar, like he was like trying, they set a screen and they were trying to free KD like off ball to get the mismatch they wanted. And they just held him, right? And then
it's why Kyrie dribbled for so long.
Exactly, right? And they were, and like, I get like in that crucial part of the game, like I'm more okay holding the whistle there because again, like it's an important part of the game. And it's like I'd rather the game move than they just call everything. But they're holding him. These are fouls. And that's why like the whole like Tatum played amazing defense. He did play great defense, but I don't know. I think if like that game was played in Brooklyn, those are probably fouls. And because I do think the home crowd does impact officiating a touch.
I think there's an adjustment period for everybody, officials, fans, players, for the physicality of the playoffs. And I think we saw some of that, not just in this game, but the inconsistency with that physicality and how it was officiated. I thought there was a lot of that too in the Chicago-Milwaukee game, which I'm sure we'll get to in a minute.
DeRozan's fucking whistle is unbelievable.
I mean,
anyways, go on.
There was a couple. We'll get to that.
No, I think so. We'll let Zach talk because we'll get to it because I have a very unbiased, seriously unbiased take about the officiating for the weekend as a whole. I think it was horrible.
Sure. I guess I won't say too much more because we have more series to get to here. I will say both teams 19 of 24 from the free throw line, so fairly even there. 26 fouls to 24. And from a strategy standpoint, I think the one thing that I think we will see from Udoka's staff is hack a Claxton, because I just think that the Celtics will be better off with Claxton off the floor. And if you can hack a guy, especially in Boston, who's like a 58% free throw shooter, that's so young like that, I think that's something we'll see. And I'm going to be interested to see how Claxton handles it and how Nash handles it.
I think the Nets will go small. It's actually something I really want the Nets to do. They did a lot last year, and they don't do it enough this year, in my opinion. Is they just say fuck defense. They pull like prime Warriors. It was like fuck defense except for these 3 possessions in this game, and we're going to make the stop in these 3 possessions in this game. I think they should just go completely positionless and just force every single offensive mismatch they can with KD or Kyrie. Honestly, even getting like Seth Curry open, like Seth Curry can score off the dribble, can get himself open. Like Goran Dragic was balling. Like, I mean, first
he was playing really well, especially the first half.
Kudos to the Nets ownership, right? The Celtics. Here's my shot at the Celtics. Ready? Celtics traded for Zach Boy, Derek White, gave up a first-round pick. Nets get Goran Dragic for free, and he's better than Derek White. So good piece of GMing.
That may be more of an indictment on the Raptors front office.
It's a positive for
them. Gave him away for free, and also gave the Spurs a first for Thad Young, who's not playing.
That was actually a compliment. That was a compliment to your Spurs front office. But like, I mean, just sorry, really quickly. There's one person, and I talk about this with my friend all the time, who trolls both of you. But like the guy who I wish was ready, and he's not ready because he actually is an X factor in making that positionless lineup, is Kessler Edwards. He's not ready, but he's. I think he's going to be a player. I like Kessler a good amount. He's just not ready yet.
So I was going to ask you as the kind of the last thing for this game, who is your 5 there? If you go small, is Kessler the 4?
Is Ben Simmons playing?
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's
so it's Seth and Goran with the 3 studs.
It depends how Patty Mills is shooting.
Okay,
but in that case, for example, it would be Goran. But I think I would prefer Patty Mills because I think Patty's a better. I don't know actually the data on this, so this might just be a blind take. But I'm assuming that Patty Mills is a better spot of shooter than Goran Dragic. But Goran,
I think that's probably the case.
Yeah, but Goran, he was like legit good in that game, and he made a difference. He was plus 17 in that game. So there you go.
Does Ben Simmons play this series?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's going to play game 4.
I think it's 3.
I think if the Nets go down 0-2, I think he plays game 3.
I think they just didn't want his first. I think he would play game 1 if the Nets were at home. I didn't think they wanted his first game to be on the road.
That'll be very
Don't
interesting.
worry, Kyrie will jump in front and defend him with his middle finger.
Honestly, that would be
2 pistols.
Think about a perfect landing spot for Ben Simmons, where he's like the 3rd most hated person on the team, and it's not even close. Basketball, I love it.
Before we move on to the other series, I do want to talk about Boston because we spent pretty much the entire time talking about the Brooklyn side. Jason Tatum, just flat out star. I mean, the first half was all facilitating, and then there was a stretch towards the end of the second quarter where he was getting bucket after bucket. Defensively, I think he's been one of the more underrated, among the I mean, I would consider Tatum an elite player. So among the elite players, especially elite scorers, I think he's always been underrated defensively. But that Marcus Smart too, obviously just won Defensive Player of the Year, which is awesome. But the pass, that pass, it's obviously an easy read to see that Durant fell asleep and Tatum was open, but that's an easy read with a minute 58 seconds left in the game, not 3 seconds. To have that awareness, to make that extra pass, like, that is such a ridiculously good basketball play. And I just think Marcus Smart is always been, like, Marcus Smart's the heart of this team. Like, Tatum's the best player. Jaylen Brown's obviously, like, they don't go without Marcus Smart. And I thought it was awesome that he got the recognition for he had a good game, obviously, too. Like, the third quarter, he got hot from three. Obviously, always going to be good defensively, drawing offensive fouls. But man, that pass, that overall possession, like, to not even call the timeout and to not even be like worried, just showed no frantic. Like, it was awesome. So I wanted to give a shout out to Marcus Smart and the Celtics too.
Before we move on, can I just say two things about KD? One, he was really bad in game one, but I think 99.9% of people thought Marcus Smart was taking that shot.
I think Marcus Smart thought he was taking that shot
I'm not killing KD for that backdoor on Tatum, because honestly,
yeah, it's fair.
That's tough. The other thing I'm going to say is,
too bad Alex Blickel's not on this pod, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, thank God.
We would need another 60 minutes for that, though.
Kevin Durant is going to go off.
I agree.
Like, he's going to go. Like, the Celtics are not doubling him, and they shouldn't, because they're good enough to guard him one-on-one, unlike most teams in the NBA, or they're good enough to play team defense, whatever, you get it. I think he's going to go absolutely ballistic in game two. I don't know if the Nets win or not. I think this series is essentially a toss-up every single game. But I'm going to be betting some Kevin Durant overs, and I'm probably going to be laddering again, because I think we're going to.
Ladder will play 45.
I think he's going to play like 47 minutes. Like, it's going to be one of those games against the Bucks, right, where he just basically plays the entire game, because they need to win this game. Actually, I think this
is a must win. I agree.
Must win, like, strong, but like,
I think it is
a really important game for the Nets, especially the way they lost game one. And I think Steve Nash is going to say, okay, KD. And KD's listening to what people are saying on Twitter, and he's just going to be like, "Hey, KD, do you?" And at the end of the day, when KD does him, right, he'll take 25 shots, and maybe he'll go like 14 of 25. I think he's going to get a couple extra calls in game two, because, again, I think there were a couple times in game one where he should have gotten a call and maybe didn't get a call. So my sports betting advice: KD, put points, props, game two. My final prediction, he's going to have 46 points in game two.
Are the Nets players outside of KD going to shoot 61% from the floor again in a game this series? Because, like, Durant did not shoot well, but, like, the rest of the Nets played pretty fucking good, and they still lost. So, like, I think you can look at that.
They do shoot the ball very well, like, as a team overall.
Sure.
And that's because, like, there's so much pressure on Kyrie and Kevin Durant. So, like, these actually aren't, like, insane shooting. Like, they shot like 77% against the Sixers. Remember that game?
Wasn't that just like the first half or the first quarter that they shot 77% against them?
Like, no, I'm saying like they just, yes, but I'm saying, like, as a team, like the non-KD Kyrie people, that's what I'm talking about. When because I don't know how often you've been watching the Nets, but essentially, and the reason why, this is why the Celtics are a bad matchup for the Nets, is every single team does the same exact thing against them, where they literally, if it's just one of KD or Kyrie on the floor, they double that guy, and then Bruce Brown is wide open, and he just throws a floater to Nick Claxton or Andre Drummond, and it's an easy dunk, or he kicks it to a corner three, and it's an open three. Like, someone's always open whenever, like,
that's what they did in that last possession. They doubled Kyrie, and they let Bruce Brown sit in the corner, and they're like, all right, if he's going to shoot a three, we'll let it. And then, obviously, Claxton was the other player on the floor.
It's what the Cavs did, too, right? Like, and especially, like, in that fourth quarter, the Cavs, like, they went to that, like, that de facto strategy against, like, KD, where they double him. KD dishes it to Bruce Brown at the free throw line, and he either hits a floater.
Oh my goodness! It was every time they cut it. They would cut it to 6. They would start doubling Durant because Durant would get his, and then Bruce Brown would be open, drive to like the free throw line distance, and then Mobley or whoever had to step up, and it was just a floater over to Claxton. It was every time.
So the only reason why I brought that up was I was bringing up like the context of like the Nets actually do shoot really well as a team, like outside of KD and Kyrie, for that exact reason, because like they're just open. And it's like, that's how teams are scheming them. And that's why the Celtics actually are a bad matchup. So I'm kind of, to your point, I'm kind of with it. I'm kind of agreeing with what you're saying, Zach. The thing, though, that where I'll counter is I think the Nets are actually going to slow this game down, is similar to what they did against the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and let KD kind of ISO a ton. And I think that that's actually like a good strategy for the Nets, where like and makes up for the fact they're playing less defensive possessions, which is important when you're not a good defensive team. And I think KD, even though he's going to be guarded and they're going to play really good defense, he's still like, I know you guys hate KD. I'm not Joe. I know Zach hates KD. He's still kind of unguardable, right?
It's not kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he is unguardable.
Yeah. So
I don't hate KD.
I thought you were a big KD hater. I thought you were I thought you were like, he's terrible defensively. He's like the 10th best player in the NBA.
That was Alex, I thought.
Didn't I have him at like 5 or 6, I think?
Oh, I thought you had him at 10.
Which is still too low.
No.
5 or 6 is still too low.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Durant is the second best player in the league behind Giannis, but we'll get to that another time. All right, final take. What was your prediction prior to game 1, and what is it now if it's changed? I had Boston in 7. I'm sticking with Boston in 7.
Mine
was the
changed.
same.
Mine was Nets in 7.
I was Boston.
Which is nuts because I think the Nets will win in Boston game 7. But my prediction pre-series was that Ben Simmons comes back game 4. I think he comes back game 3, Nets win in 7.
Mine was Nets in 4. I guess I'll move it to Nets in 5.
I mean, I guess you have to.
For
right?
what it's worth, if you want,
Joe.
Stefano gave out a bet. One bet that if you think the Nets win this series, it's risky, but you can parlay Memphis to win their series, and the Nets to win theirs for plus 404 on DraftKings right now.
To have a serious answer to your question, Adam, I honestly don't know. I was telling Joe this a lot. There were 2 teams that I wanted to avoid in the first round. It was the Celtics and it was the Bucks. The Celtics are really good. They're not like frauds anymore. They're like they're really good.
They're very
Credit to another Spurs coaching tree guy. It's a really good coach. They are an incredible team defense. They're really, really, really good.
And they're doing it without their free safety right now in this series. That'll be interesting.
I actually think, and this is a bit of a hot take. I think they're better when they're just playing one of Horford or Robert Williams against the Nets, like specifically against the Nets.
Against the Nets. Yeah, I would agree.
Specifically against the Nets. And so I'd rather play Robert Williams than Al Horford. But the thing is, if they did that last game, Robert Williams is probably not going 20 and 15. So it's interesting.
Well, he's going 15, but he is. He's going 20 rebounds and 15 blocks. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So we have that. So we spent the last 40 minutes talking about the Nets, and that's just way too much for me.
I can keep going. I was kind of tame. Zach was.
Oh, we know you can. We
Zach was really animated on that. Kyrie, I was kind of shocked.
Just wait until next week when we have all the awards sorted out and Mobley doesn't win Rookie of the Year. It'll be 40 minutes of me just tilting.
Dude, I will travel to Pennsylvania and riot with you.
Mobley shouldn't win Rookie of the Year. He missed too many games.
What
are we not? Wait, it's not consensus that Cam Thomas is the Rookie of the Year.
Okay, all right. Next topic. So let's look at the rest of the series as a whole. I want to keep the Bucks Bulls talk very brief. I think I think it is horrible for the Bulls. The Bucks played so poorly, had 21 turnovers. Drew and Chris Middleton couldn't do anything. They lost by 7. The Bulls are cooked. We all knew this. With that said, this is just typical game 1 Bucks. Same thing happened against Miami last year. They needed a Chris Middleton game winner to win game 1 before steamrolling the bum-ass Heat. And I think the same thing will happen to Chicago. I do. DeRozan, playoff DeRozan is clearly a thing. If this guy just disappears. But he was like J.R. Smith shooting his way out of a slump, but wasn't getting out of the slump. The one thing I have to give their Bulls flowers on, Alex Caruso, holy shit. He was the sole reason defensively that they were able to make a run in the fourth quarter. I think two of the 4 best perimeter defenders in the NBA were in that game in Drew Holiday and Alex Caruso. Marcus Smart and Mikal Bridges being the other 2. And of course, Matisse Thybulle's not in those 4. But Caruso, I admittingly thought he was just a meme product of LeBron for a while in LA, but he's proven his value. And you could argue, if he keeps playing like that, I don't think it's individually impactful enough to propel the Bulls to a series win. But I think you could argue he deserves more than the contract he got paid. So the other series, we had Minnesota upset the Grizzlies. I think Grizzlies were 7-point favorites going into game one. Are you guys? I want to go around the horn quick. Are you guys? Predictions? My pre-series prediction was Grizzlies in 5. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I probably altered the Grizzlies in 6, but I don't see this going 7. I don't see Minnesota winning this series. So we'll go around from Steph to Adam to Zach. What do you guys think?
I think the Grizzlies still win the series. I thought the Teals are actually a tough out. I know a lot of people don't.
They are.
They're great. I don't think Karl-Anthony.
I think they're a tougher out than Denver is.
I don't agree with that. But the thing, I think Karl-Anthony Towns isn't good. I think he's okay. I take that back. He's not like that. He's not bad. But I don't think
he's the second best player on his own team. But yeah,
it might be the third. But this needs to be Anthony.
All right, come on. Let's cut the shit. Come on.
What former net is on the Timberwolves that he could be talking about right now?
Dorian Prince is pretty good.
I also D'Angelo Russell.
I was about to say.
The thing is, I don't know. I don't think he's better than Cat. But you know who I really like on the T-Wolves team that I think is really underrated?
Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and he guards
He
guards.
Is such a good wing defender. That's why I think they could actually I would not be surprised if they won in 7. He allows them to defensively oh man, he's been so underrated.
I didn't watch that game. I forgot what I was doing, but I missed that game. Did he start on Ja? Was he guarding Ja? Because I know I've seen them do that.
I missed the beginning of that game. I wasn't home for a lot of it. I got home around the third quarter. But the thing about that series was Steven Adams, there was a point late in the third quarter where he had 1 rebound because he was off the floor for a while because he could not keep up. He couldn't keep up with Towns. So, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. had the Jaren Jackson Jr. game of all games where he had 4 fouls and 6 blocks at one point. But you can say, okay, let's put Triple J on Towns. The problem is you're going to have him away from the basket a lot. And he's not protecting the rim for Ant Edwards, who's, bro, I don't know how many times I've forgotten he's 20 years old. It's insane.
Yeah, one, he's 20 years old, but he also in addition to you forgetting he's 20 years old, I forgot he's only 6'4", 6'5". He looks massive. He looks like he's a 6'8" wing because he's so solid. And speaking of Jaren Jackson, I've been banging the drum all season. He's a defensive player of the year if he doesn't have foul trouble and if he can rein in his hacking tendencies. But I think Minnesota is one of the worst matchups for Jaren Jackson. Not that he won't deliver on either end of the court, but the way Minnesota plays offensively, it's nearly impossible for him to avoid foul trouble. He's either at the rim with Anthony Edwards or Karl-Anthony Towns when Karl-Anthony Towns is near the rim, or he's dragged out to the perimeter against Towns, could be switched on to a guard like a Russell or an Edwards and get caught using his hands. It's just a very, very bad matchup schematically for Jaren Jackson.
Well, that's why I just leave him at the 4 and have him on Vanderbilt and hope because Vanderbilt's not going to worry you from 3, and that's what happened in game 1. He just kind of roamed and left Vanderbilt, and that's why he had what do you have 7 blocks? I still think Memphis has the better team, and it's not like Ja played bad, but Minnesota was no joke all year. They were a much improved defensive team the second half of the season. Towns is similar to Jokic, no longer defensive liabilities. They're not obviously all world NBA defenders, but and then Beverly.
Towns is still Charmin soft.
I mean, yeah, on the glass, offensive boards and stuff, sure. But I still like Memphis to win. But that was a good showcase of anybody that hasn't watched a lot of Minnesota this year. They're legit. They're not a legit contender to win the finals, but they're a legit team.
But they're also a team that they might lose by 35 in game 2. After they're just they're so there's I forgot where I saw this. I don't remember the odds were, but I don't hate placing a long shot bet for the Grizzlies to win in 5. The T-Wolves are just so up and down, I mean, you saw Cat right against the Clippers, right? That was against the Clippers, right? That was just so bad.
Yeah. It was the first. What do you have 9 or something like that?
Yeah. I'm shocked they won that game, but That
the best player on the team
can't happen against the Grizzlies. You know what I mean? Like the Grizzlies are like
right.
I was wrong about the Grizzlies. I thought they were like not trying to win this year and they were going to be bad. That was probably my worst take of the preseason. That might have been on this podcast too. But they're really good. Like, really, really good.
Yeah.
And like I actually think like they don't get enough respect to come out of the West. I don't think they're going to end up coming out of the West, but like they're an incredibly deep team that like is good. That has like a lot of, how should I call them? They're not basketball players. They're hoopers.
I think Zach's blood has been boiling enough for the last 45 minutes where we can just let that one pass. So let's quick shift focus to the other series, Utah and Dallas. As we're recording, game 2 underway. Utah, at the time of recording, up 93-91 with 7 minutes left. Donovan Mitchell continuing his torrid scoring pace in the playoffs as he has the last 2.5 seasons. Jalen Brunson with 36 on 14 of 22 shooting, 6 of 10 from 3. Maxi Kleber, 6 of 8 from 3 off the bench.
Both were written up by yours truly today.
Correct. It's every slate Adam writes, there is a low-owned gem. It doesn't matter the slate. It's usually Jakob Poeltl, but when Jakob Poeltl's not on the slate, it's someone else. But I think my opinion on the Jazz is consistent. It's not a team I take incredibly seriously in the playoffs. And I know that might sound dramatic, but if Luka were in games 1 and 2, I don't think the Jazz have a chance. Let's back up. They have a chance in the series, but my prediction before Luka's injury would have been Mavs in 6. I don't think, dropping games 1 and potentially 2 now. We obviously don't know what happened at the time of recording. I don't know what the timetable for Luka is. Have you guys heard anything about
Jason Kidd said today he's doing better. Zach and I were talking about this.
Yeah, I saw some light on court work, but that was it.
Zach and I were talking about this earlier before we got on the pod. But what'd you say, Zach? If they tie this series up, don't bring Luka back till game 4, correct?
Yeah,
Yep. If you can. I mean, it's weird to say, if you can steal one at home here, being the team with home court advantage, but if they can win this game 2 tonight, it just my pick before the series was Utah in 5, unless Luka comes back by game 3. Just because I didn't think that the Mavericks were going to. I honestly didn't think they would compete as well as they have in these first 2 games. So I'm going to keep as long if they can win this one. I'm still going to stick with my Dallas in 7 as long as Luka comes back. And extend that asterisk to game 4. They're just hands down, in my opinion, a better team than Utah is with Luka on the floor. They're like just kind of just as good defensively. Right. And I think they're a little bit more versatile positionally in this matchup where like I said, if Luka comes back by game 3, if they lose this one, or game 4, if they win this one, I've got the Mavericks.
Mike Conley also got hurt in this game. Or
he's back.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back. Okay.
Did you see the stat that Donovan Mitchell in game 1 passed the ball to Rudy Gobert once? And this is like a trend of him just not passing the ball to Gobert.
He averages 2 passes to Rudy Gobert per game.
It's so funny.
I mean, the problem with the Jazz that I've had for years now, they're just a very predictable team. I don't like.
They're frauds. We don't need to talk about the Jazz.
I agree. They've been a regular season team for a couple years now. Correct. Mitchell's had his playoff games, but other than that,
my one Jazz take, and it's a bit of an individual player take. I still think Bojan is one of the most underrated players in the entire NBA. He's a player that every. Wait, what'd you say?
Former net.
Okay. I just want to make sure. If there was one player comp for Bojan, I think it'd be rec league Stefano Vaccarino. I think that's a pretty accurate comp.
So what? No peripherals?
If Bojan could shoot
whoa! Bojan's got 4 boards, 3 rebounds at the time, or 4.
Oh yeah, he's got 4 boards and 3 rebounds.
I'm all over the place right now. He's got no assists. He doesn't like to pass.
Jazz are about to lose. There's some time left.
They're down 3 right now.
I might take the Jazz. I don't know. I don't want to take the Jazz live again because I think I'm testing my luck.
If Dallas wins this game, they're winning the series.
Oh, I think they might win the series.
Brunson has 38. Holy cow! Dinwiddie 5 of 17 from the field, and they're still winning. So let's then. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Can we get the
who I talk about before?
Can we get the Philly
any player?
Can we get the Philly-Toronto series out of the way?
Yeah, Toronto's done. It's annoying.
I had Philly in 5 to start.
Did you? I feel
obviously that's being aided by the injury report there for the Raptors.
Sure.
But I mean, they were healthy in the first half last game, and they were getting whooped.
Wow, shocking!
Well, Tyrese
Maxey Hater victory lapping an injured team and saying that they were going to lose. Wow.
That's the most boring series, by the way. Like, I know Joe loves watching this team,
dude. And this is another take. Steph and I have been in lockstep too often lately. You're just
learning. You're talking to me too much.
I literally put this on a tee just 'cause I wanted to hear Joe rant about Philly's offense.
It's so annoying. Like, I'm not saying Joel Embiid is bad, but fuck, if I want to see a player shoot 20 fucking free throws and two play like James Harden and Joel Embiid fucking lay on the floor doing snow angels together, I'll go watch Max's rec game in 4 years.
What's more entertaining? Watching Kyrie
so fucking boring.
Or watching Embiid and Harden just flop their way to 37 free throws every single game.
Like, it's just foul baiting every damn possession.
What's better for the product?
It's not even close that it's Kyrie.
Just trying to set Zach.
He's going to say Philly. God damn it.
No, he's just what's happening right now is he agrees with me, but he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to. Yeah.
Also, smiling so hard.
I think he also recently saw the hilarious meme I sent in the chat, which was very funny.
Yeah, it was good.
Also, I will say and I tweeted this, it sucks that the most improved race is so deep this year between obviously the 3 finalists, Garland, DeJounte, and Ja, but then it's like Jordan Poole and Tyrese Maxey didn't even make the cut. And like Jordan Poole's in the damn G League last year.
Let me he wasn't though. He played the majority of the season in the league and was the same player. He got more minutes. And he's great. He's fun as shit to watch. He's going to be in the league for a long time. Also, great cut. The game was on TNT last night, I think. You see him on the bench talking with Damian Lee. You guys never? Okay, I'll send you guys that video.
I watched the game.
I'll send you the video. Yeah, the most improved discussion is ridiculous, even from Ja Morant himself, who will, it's ridiculous. Anybody?
Dude, no. I'm not saying he should have won, but saying Jordan Poole in the most improved player conversation is ridiculous. Is I think that's a little.
What exactly, Joe? What exactly did he improve at?
Yeah, I agree with Zach here, actually.
I'm not saying he increased it. Like, obviously, efficiency was not what he improved. And you have to expect a player that gets more opportunity is going to produce more. But just because he's strictly producing off of more opportunity doesn't mean he can't be the most improved player. That to me feels like the same type of argument.
He didn't improve.
That to me feels like the same argument that's saying, like, because Ja Morant's so good, he can't be most improved player because he's an MVP candidate.
It's not the same at all because Ja Morant improved.
I think the counter is also, though, like, Jordan Poole's efficiency remained the same and didn't go down with more volume and more minutes too, which I think is also important. But I also don't think Jordan Poole should have been in like the conversation.
He was my third.
Dude, look. Fourth, third, and there's a couple points we need to touch.
Ja Morant went from like the 20th best player in the NBA to like a certified like top 10, maybe top 7 NBA player.
He was probably
Ja Morant was my pick, to be clear.
Yeah,
he could have been less than the 20th best player last year.
Yeah.
Ja Morant was not an all-star, 19 points, 7 assists, 4 boards last year on 45, 30, 72. This year, 27.5 points, 7 assists, 6 boards, over a steal per game, half a block, only increased his turnovers by 0.2 per game, played a half minute more, except now he's shooting 49, 35, 76.
I think the biggest argument against Ja and this argument is like he was just like too good to win it, which is like
a shame. Memphis is better without him.
That's so.
But that's also ridiculous because if you go back and look at who's won most improved over the last couple of years, there's all stars in there.
Yeah,
right. No, I agree. I like I have been in lockstep with you about Ja Morant all season. I just think you're discounting Jordan Poole a bit. Like, sure, he's playing 10 more minutes per game, but his he was averaging almost 10 shots a game last year. Like his volume didn't go up a ton. He's averaging just under 14 a game.
But dude, he's
averaging
the same
6.5 more points
player.
per game.
The only thing that increased was his minutes. Look at his per 36, okay? His field goal percentage went up 1.6%. His 3-point percentage went up 1.3%. His free throws
all I hear is
3.7.
these percentages went up. That's technically an
Did you
improvement.
just dude, that's like Ja tripled those
I'm
numbers.
No, and again, I'm not arguing Jordan Poole
scored
for MIP over Ja.
Per 36.
I just don't think you can put Jordan Poole above like Darius Garland. I think is actually like a worthy contender to Ja.
My three.
I'd actually disagree.
It went
I'm
Ja,
kidding.
Garland. Mine went Ja, Garland, Poole. That was my.
I think DeJounte.
You can't put. Listen, I wanted to give Poole some love. You can't put Poole over Maxey. No shot.
Or DeJounte. We're forgetting about him.
I already had. Like DeJounte's obviously already had.
Like I obviously love Jordan Poole is one of my favorite players in the NBA.
Joe, would you Tyler Hero or Jordan Poole?
Shut up. They're both from Milwaukee, so I can't even pick. But I mean, there's also then you have like someone like Desmond Bane, who is probably should like be way up there as well.
But he didn't, and like that's what I wanted, like because fucking Ja himself was like, I shouldn't be in consideration for this. Desmond Bane should be like, okay, good teammate, I get it, but
you should be.
Ja is in a tier of his own in the most improved category. I know you do, but I'm getting to the fact that now some people are like, oh, he can't be in the MIP conversation because he's an MVP candidate, which he's fucking not.
Yeah, he's not even close to an MVP. He was for the first 2 weeks of the season.
He would be 7th, 6th. No. Like you obviously have the top three, and you have the top three, and then you have
Luka,
DeRozan, Booker, Tatum, Luka. Like
I'd still put Ja over DeRozan, I think.
So would I.
But we're still sitting at 7.
Right, you're not putting him over Luka or Tatum or Booker.
And I don't know. I mean, never mind. I'm not gonna go down this.
You cannot get.
He's
MVP
not a top.
vote.
Okay, he's not. He is not a top 5 MVP candidate, which means
you can't even get a 5th place vote if your team has a 90%.
I probably want to get into it because I know you're going to bring that up. And
it's not like it's a small sample. A quarter of the season.
Yeah, it's like 20-something games.
It's Ja Morant as an MVP candidate is ridiculous, and he could and will run away with the most improved conversation.
I agree, 100%. I agree. So
the best thing. I'm sorry, Joe. Since we're talking about awards, just want to say thank you for not voting Rudy Gobert as the defensive player of the year.
Should have been Michael Bridges.
Thank me. You knew I wasn't going to vote.
I agree with
Rudy
Gobert.
Should have been Michael Bridges. I literally it's like 10 minutes on this pod last week just talking up how amazing Michael Bridges is, and Marcus Smart deserves it. Like he's had but like I would have loved to see Bridges because what we pointed out, Steph, on the pod last week, Zach pointed out all the players he's guarded as the primary defender for all these games. And he didn't miss a single game this year. Like, that's so impressive to me.
The NBA is dumb like this, but I think they were like, okay, Marcus Smart had a great year, and he's the more senior player. Let's give it to Marcus Smart, and Bridges is going to win one eventually. But like,
same with Bam Adebayo for me. Like Bam, obviously, some people he only played 56 games. Bam is going to win one too. Like Bam is amazing.
Oh yeah.
I think, Steph, you and Eddie kind of had a similar take where Eddie on the stream today said, I think it's just kind of like a seniority award. It's like a career achievement award almost. Mm-hmm. And I also think that there was like legit 5, maybe 6 guys that could have won the award. And I really have no issue with it.
I was just happy it wasn't Gobert. That's it.
Sure. But, and I also like, he's probably the last of those 5 or 6 guys I would want to see win it, but I also would really have no argument against it.
Right.
I would. My argument against Gobert is like he
has zero.
Shout out to JJ Redick podcast, but like literally players make fun of him. Like they think he's like trash.
Well, it's because they watch him post up, and that's why they make fun of him.
No, they target him like in late game situations, like
and pick and roll. Like yes, exactly. And
I'm gonna make Joe feel good because I'm complimenting Drew Holiday, but like. He's the guy who gets snubbed every single year. If the players voted, they consistently say Drew Holiday is the best defender in the
year. Right.
Which I think my big issue with Gobert, if we argue people argue every day, year after year, the NBA is a positionless game. And you're going to give a player with absolutely no defensive versatility the perennial. It just doesn't. It does not add up to me. You can't defend anything but a traditional 5.
Speaking of 5, Mavericks are 5.
Yeah, Mavericks are up 5. 2 future Knicks, Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell are going off right now. So let's quick go to the other series for the sake of time. Phoenix, New Orleans. I have Phoenix in 4, and it's not particularly close.
They're just
Pelicans stand no chance.
If only the Pelicans had one more marquee player. If only.
If only they had.
I don't know, like
a phenom. But that I don't think Zion. To be honest,
no, they're not winning with Zion. But like,
I think they'd maybe steal a game. I don't think it would change much. I really don't. Like Phoenix, I was watching the game last night, and
their defense was everywhere.
It's their defense, but like, it's just unfair how deep they are. Like their bench comes in and they're still like,
dude. JaVale keeps having these stints where he comes in and plays 6 minutes and it's like a +8, has like 3 blocks and 6 rebounds.
JaVale.
Oh, sorry, Will Chamberlain.
Will Chamberlain.
Will Chamberlain. Sorry, my bad.
For what it's worth, Maxi Kleber 8 of 10 from 3. Right
Jeez. Does anybody think New Orleans takes a game?
No.
Okay. And then what's left? Denver, Golden State, which is on right now as well.
That's the second best series after Nets Celtics. I think this is the second best.
Bro, I saw.
I think Grizzlies Timberwolves will be a better.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's spicier.
Can we talk about like how
I
Jokic
think this is a pretty lopsided series? Actually,
can we talk about how Jokic got like kind of a bunch of shit for his performance last game, and everybody there's a bunch of like mostly Sixers fans saying, "Oh, comparing what Embiid did in his game 1." I'm like, do you realize what happened in those games is solidifying why Jokic is the MVP? Watching Tyrese Maxey go for 38.
Like, I will take Jokic 12 times out of 10 over Embiid, like without hesitation. I will. That's
2 more times than you possibly can. That's impressive.
I know. That's impressive. But like seriously, like.
But this series, like Golden State now has this new death lineup, right? Like,
yeah, it's good.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really
Draymond,
really
Poole, Curry, Clay, and the All-Star starter Andrew Wiggins. Like that lineup, like seriously, like that lineup is.
It's unbelievable.
It was going to be one of the most dangerous 5-man units in basketball. It's terrifying.
Like when Andrew Wiggins is your least dangerous offensive player.
No, Draymond still is. And I love Draymond more than everybody.
No, okay, the thing is, I would argue Draymond's more dangerous offensively because of his facilitating ability.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. The thing with Jordan Poole, though, is, like, it's not that he can shoot and he can score. His range isn't that different from Curry and Clay's. Like, Jordan Poole's got range.
Yeah,
it's terrifying.
He's pulling up from like 35 feet. Like we're at a point now where I wouldn't be surprised if like Jordan Poole takes a mask off and it's Steph Curry.
And I love Jokic. I just think with the injuries they have, Denver doesn't have enough firepower. That's just what it comes down to.
I agree. But the thing is, you have that death lineup, and then you also add in, and I'm not saying he's a massive difference maker. He's a difference maker, but like no, Gary Payton.
I thought you were going to mention Otto Porter.
In this game, in his first 6 minutes, he has 2 blocks and a steal. Like, if you need a spark plug defensively, Gary Payton will come in and do just that. Like, Otto Porter is still a serviceable player on both ends of the court. Like, Kevon Looney can hold his own on interior and defensively. I like
Kevon Looney.
So do I. Adam, guess where Kevon Looney's from? I'm just saying. Like, they're not playing 2 of their 3 players that have the brightest future on the team right now.
I think you guys are sleeping on. I think you guys are being. I don't know. I mean, like I don't think.
I'm not sleeping on Denver because Denver is literally just Nikola Jokic. They're starting Jeff Green.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the man doesn't really miss like ever. He's
who? Jokic?
Yeah,
I know. But the thing is, my thing, like when you are playing a team like the Warriors, like as good as Jokic is, he's going to win back-to-back MVPs. He's the best big man in the NBA. I'm not going to be honest with you.
Like he shot 48% in game 1, and people are like he had a bad day. 48% on 25 shots, and people are like he had a
sure. I agree, but I don't think he alone is not enough to steal more than 2 games from the series, in my opinion. I mean, I can't.
What do you think?
I can't see it. I was Warriors in 6, and I'm still Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I'm also Warriors in 6. I just think this Golden State team is just going to continue to kind of warm up the engines here.
It's scary. It's very scary.
I have them in the conference finals right now. I do have Phoenix beating them and going back to the NBA finals, but
That series will be so
I'm not.
sick
I can't. I really hope. And Golden State, the potential Golden State Memphis series is going to be great too.
I think Memphis matches up really well with them as they play.
I also think that at some point, if this playoff run is going to go 3, maybe 4 rounds for Golden State, that Jonathan Kuminga has to play some sort of a role.
Sure,
I think he will. I think he will in the what's it called? I think it's going to be matchup based, but I think he will for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's just. I've given some Kuminga takes on the pod before. I think he's like untradeable right now. I think he's going to be.
They hang up the phone.
Good.
I'm pretty sure there's been reports during the season that like teams have been calling, they're just hanging up immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, I would too. Like, it's just really annoying that this team that just came off of a dynasty run now has Jonathan Kuminga, still has James Wiseman. Moses Moody's no slouch if you look at his trajectory, and then you have
Dallas wins, Zach?
Yep, Dallas wins. 110-104.
Utah fucking stinks.
Yeah, that's bad.
Like, come on.
What did Brunson
Donovan Mitchell deserves so much better.
So Brunson and Kleba combined for what? Like 60?
64 or 66.
Did you guys do like a playoff bracket podcast yet? Have you like gone through like no?
Which is why we're kind of going series by series.
Oh, okay. My bad.
So what I'm really excited for, like, we obviously have good series in the first round, but like the potential for some of these second round matchups, like Milwaukee and either Boston or Brooklyn, is going to be the best series in the East of the second round. And then you have Golden State.
Can I make a hot take? A little bit of a hot take. If one of the Celtics or the Nets make it out of the Eastern Conference, I might argue it's like the hardest out for that team in like Eastern Conference history. Like that is like.
I would argue it's a lukewarm take at worst, because like
you beat like. I think
the first 2 rounds you're beating 2 juggernauts.
You're beating like I think there's 3 teams that come out of the East, and it's one of those 3 teams. My
take was going to be the winner of that second round series. So yeah, I mean, but the thing is, and then you go to the Eastern Conference Finals and play either Miami or Philly, and it's like it's not much easy. Like
Philly's easy.
Not much easier, assuming those teams both win their series. The one series we didn't talk about, Miami and Atlanta. Miami just destroyed Atlanta. Atlanta is not going to hang with Miami as good as
I might be bitter, but we talked about it. Miami is the best defense in the league, arguably the best defense in the league, but especially in terms of their switchability. Like we saw it in game 1. They had Bam on Trey. Bam was fine. PJ Tucker on Trey. PJ Tucker was fine. Lowry's obviously, like Lowry had that play where he stripped Trey. It was like, they're just Butler, Duncan Robinson not going to score 27 again, but like, talk about a team being deep. Everybody knows how I feel about Bam. Joe, you and I both love Bam. I think Atlanta wins 1, but I'm going Miami in 5.
That was my prediction as well.
Should be Cleveland now. Should be Cleveland losing in 5, to be fair. Not Atlanta losing in 5.
With Jared Allen, I think Cleveland would have lost in 6, but I digress. So any parting thoughts from any of you guys as we kind of just bantered about the weekend of the opening playoff weekend and look forward to the next couple games for this week?
Are we doing brackets? I know as we're running along. Are we going to who we think is making it out?
I mean, let's do it.
Yeah, why not? Let's go around the horn. I'll go last.
I'll go first. So I've got the Pelicans beating the Suns.
Okay, next.
No, Suns, Mavs. Then it's going to be Warriors, Grizzlies. So no upsets there. Then I'm going to have Warriors over the Grizzlies, Suns over the Mavs. I'm not going to get to my Western Conference team yet. And I have Heat, Sixers, Bucks. Bucks, Nets in 5.
Get the fuck out of here.
No, I honestly really have no idea who's going to win that game. That's like serious. I think there's a chance the Nets this is like the craziness of like how my take on this series is. I wouldn't be shocked if the Celtics swept the Nets, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Nets won in 5. I don't really know how this goes, and I think each game might end up being like a 1-possession game too, and it could still be like a Celtics sweep or a Nets win. You know what I mean?
I mean, I legit think this series could potentially end up being the best series of the entire playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll be up there with the finals. I think.
I don't know. We'll see. I think like Bucks Warriors would be a lot of fun, and I also think Nets Warriors would be a lot of fun, especially Nets Warriors, where like no one's really going to play that much defense and just going to be like, oh, this is like
Jordan Poole's going to average like
Suns is going to be fun too.
Warriors Suns going to be a lot of fun too. Because I'm a homer, I'm going to say the Nets make it out, and then we get Nets Bucks. Heat, and the Nets. That's an easy W for the Nets against the Bucks.
Sure.
And then I'm going to have the Sixers beat the Heat just to continue my narrative, and then that's going to be the Nets are going to sweep the Sixers because the Sixers are just absolute ass. And then we got Nets in the finals against. I think it's going to be Warriors. I don't know. The Suns were really good in Game 1, but
I'm just waiting until Steph says Nets in 3 somehow. Like,
I'm going Nets Warriors. My voice is trembling because I don't actually believe the Nets are going to make it through. And I'll say Nets win in 5 against the Warriors. I honestly think the Warriors are going to win the finals. I almost placed a bet on them, regardless of like who's coming out. They're back. I think they're officially back. They're
so fucking.
You know what they weren't? You know what they weren't when they had like their dynasty, and like people are going to say they were, but they weren't. They weren't this deep. Like,
no,
they were younger.
No.
Bro,
they were not.
They were relying on Harrison Barnes.
Yeah,
like Cleveland in that finals, Cleveland was leaving him open, and he just couldn't hit anything.
I mean,
Livingston,
Iggy, David West were still pretty formidable off the bench.
Yes, but it's not. You know, once Steph starts,
I should say like they're loaded with like young talent who's like exciting, who like act like they can guard like everybody.
Also, I know he's gotten a lot of crap about Andrew Wiggins is better than every player you mentioned, like right now.
Well, yeah.
But he's
so
a
like,
starter. I don't know. Honestly,
but I'm saying like he wasn't
the exact person.
But I'm saying like Wiggins over Barnes by a lot.
I think that's a little closer. I
agree.
mean, Harrison.
When Zac Graham is nodding his head.
No, hold on.
Andrew Wiggins
that first championship year, that man hit some big threes that I'm not sure Andrew Wiggins could hit.
We don't know that yet.
I think we're getting.
We don't know that yet.
Harrison Barnes isn't like some amazing player. But I think we're being a little disrespectful to Harrison Barnes, who was like someone who guarded.
Barnes was an integral part of that team.
Was like the perfect 3-and-D guy. Wiggins is not as good of a shooter as Harrison Barnes. That's I don't know if that's a hot take, but I don't think he's a better spot-up shooter than Harrison Barnes.
My prediction, I struggle between Phoenix and Golden State. I like Memphis. I just think they're too young. And I think it's going to, inexperience. I mean, who knows? It could cost them this series. Not that Minnesota is insanely deep with experience, but like, I would be pretty surprised if one of Phoenix or Golden State didn't come out of the West. I'm kind of like Steph was struggling with Boston and Brooklyn. I'm struggling with which team comes out of the West. I think I'm leaning Phoenix. The East is tough because...
No, it's not.
It is. I'm telling you, I know nobody here is going to pick them, but I really do like this Miami team. And they have experience. They have Spoelstra. They have Jimmy Butler. They have PJ Tucker. They have guys that have been in the playoffs and the big games.
What Miami has, in my opinion, is that they don't have to deal with the bottom of that bracket. The bottom, whatever. Again, it's less so for the Bucks because they get the Bulls in the first round.
Right, like they get to face Philly next.
That second series, that's going to be a dogfight. And if it's the Celtics, they're going to beat up Giannis a bit, right? And Heat, I don't think have to the Hawks are going to be a breeze. I actually think the Heat are better than the Sixers, and if in a series, I would pick the Heat over Philly to advance, where I would have whatever team comes out of that bottom part of the bracket play the Heat in the Eastern Conference.
They also have more shooting than they had the last couple of years, right? We know Butler's not going to shoot a lot of threes. We know Bam's not going to shoot any threes, but now they have Duncan Robinson and Max Strus, and Lowry shoots a little bit more threes.
Max Strus is nice. I wish that man would.
And Lowry, who did they have this time last year? Dragic? Like,
do the Sixers have the two best players in that series?
In the Heat series?
Jimmy,
Yeah.
I would take
Yeah.
Butler over
Yeah.
Harden.
Yeah.
No,
I would take
think
Butler over Harden.
I would probably.
I wouldn't.
I would.
It's actually close. I might take. I don't know. It's close. I mean, Embiid's obviously, I think, the best player in that series.
Well, no,
Right.
Bam's the
Right.
best player in that series.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I
The
love
one
Bam,
thing,
but
Sixers have Matisse, which is that's tough to get by.
they won't have him in Game 3 of this series.
It's also true. Which means
The
Sixers
Heat are
by
also
40.
like a super deep team. But like, the reason why I don't think the Heat are like serious championship contenders, and if he ends up listening, he'll be very mad. But like for a superstar player like Jimmy Butler is actually very schemable in the playoffs. Like he's not a good.
Thank you. Fucking thank you.
I mean, that's why we talk. That's why they matched up so poorly with Milwaukee.
Joe,
But
none of us fight you on that.
I know it's
I know,
pretty
but
obvious
everyone else does.
if you
Everyone
watch
else
them
does.
match
Just
up against
literally watch
Milwaukee. It's
4
pretty
games
obvious.
last year.
Zach goes. I think Giannis is maybe the best player in the NBA. Joe goes, thank you. Oh my God.
Giannis is one of the 5 best players in basketball. I've been trying to tell everybody.
Thanks, JJ Reddick. All right. Thanks, JJ Reddick. Zach, what are your predictions?
East Finals, give me Sixers and Bucks. I got Bucks coming out. Give me Warriors and Suns on the west side. I got Suns coming out.
Rematch.
I'm boring. Bucks repeat.
So I have in the first round, the only upset I have is Brooklyn over Boston.
Finally, thank you.
But I have Bucks over Heat in the conference finals, and then I have Warriors over Suns, and I have Bucks over Warriors in the NBA finals to go back to back.
And Draymond wins Finals MVP in a losing effort, right?
Yeah, averaging the alluded triple double that has been eluding him for
I
2 years.
I love
now
how
since
Zach.
said that.
I love how Joe doesn't start with the fact that these were bold predictions. He just said he just says Adam predicted a triple double season from Draymond Green.
I'm learning that like, Joe doesn't understand the meaning of a bold prediction. He's apparently thinking Zach's bold prediction against him too. And Joe's bold prediction is, I think the Bucks will be a top 5 seed in the East this year.
What was my
will-
bold prediction?
I will say this to pat myself on the back, going back to the bold prediction episode. Not so bold now, saying that the Warriors were going to win the title.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a good point.
Again, I also said LaMelo MVP, so you know
that was a
Oh, you
long
remember.
shot bold prediction. I'll defend it now.
I don't know how much of a long shot I thought it was, but we can go with that.
At least at this rate, if we're talking bold predictions, you're gonna hear Adam say Tyrese Maxey Finals MVP.
Oh, they would have to get to the finals, which they won't. So you don't have to worry about that.
That's the bold prediction itself. So, Stefano, we appreciate you joining us. We'll have to have some type of playoff watch party this year, depending on what the matchups shake out to be. Potentially Brooklyn, Milwaukee Part 2. Run it back for Joe, for Zach, for Adam.
Can I do an impression before we hop? Can I do an impression before we hop off?
We've already done like 6.
Here we go.
Oh, basketball was better when players just stopped being fancy. No 3-point shot. Didn't have any personality. Man, you know who wouldn't curse at the fans? Tim Duncan. That It's been a pleasure, guys. I enjoy hopping on.
All right, for Joe, for Adam, for Zach, and for Couchboy Stefano, this is the FTN NBA podcast. We'll be back before you know it. Have a good night and enjoy the NBA.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the FTN NBA podcast with Adam, Joe, and Zach. Make sure to follow your hosts on Twitter at APPfeifer24, at JMetz34, and at KawaisenbergDFS. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.